Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the final class of this series. So today we might go a little bit longer. I don't know. We'll see. In any case, let us first start with our invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। All right. So let's get started from one step before where we left off. Okay. Hey, so we left off at 18.49. I just want to recap the last part. And the main point of the whole discussion so far of the 18th chapter. One sec. The main point of the whole sort of discussion in the 18th chapter is that anyone and everyone in any varna, what are the four varnas? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So we discussed this last time that these varnas are not technically based on birth, but they are based on swabhav, one's nature. And nature is a result of one's qualities and activities. Guna karma 4.13 connects with 18.41 based on swabhava. So it is one's own responsibility how or what varna he is in. Of course, it is also influenced by past conditioning. So one may get a particular life in a particular kind of family, a particular kind of environment. So there is that connection of birth. But again, it is connected to our own activities, our own karma, our own conditioning, which carries forward to the next life. But also, the maximum influence comes from what we get, what we develop in this life. Okay, so that is the varna. But in any case, any varna, whatever activities one does, is not good or bad in itself. And Lord says in 18.46 that swa karmana tam abhyacharya, that one can, all actions can be purified by Krishna consciousness or by devoting the activities to tam. Tam is referring to the absolute truth. What is that absolute truth? Has not fully come out in the 18th chapter yet. But here is the main point. The point is, one should not try to imitate being in a higher swabhava. I won't call it varna. I will just say swabhava. In pursuit of perfection. One should definitely not do that bit, because it automatically introduces inauthenticity. Authenticity is better than inauthenticity. Imitation, pretense is all inauthenticity. And that inauthenticity will bring in imperfection automatically. You may think you will wing it. We use this term, wing it. We will just, somehow nobody will find out. Yes, maybe nobody will find out, but it will not benefit you, because Krishna will definitely know, and the outcomes will be influenced accordingly. You cannot be perfect inauthentically as much as you can be authentically. Okay? And no matter what you do, whether you do it authentically or inauthentically, everything is going to be mired by some fault. That also we discussed. Why? Because the very fabric of material nature, of the material world, is based on imperfection. This material world is imperfect. And connecting back to the previous understanding of Bhagavad Gita chapters, one mentioned what is so wrong with the material world. The material world, the fundamental imperfection is forgetfulness of God or Krishna. Even though he is the supplier and maintainer of everything. I am the enjoyer, I am the boss. That is fine. You are the boss if you can be. Okay. But we forget that Krishna is the supplier of everything. So I am the enjoyer, I am the be all and end all. And even if God is in the picture, at best, he is the order supplier. He is my servant. Instead of we being his servant, he is my servant. That is the imperfection. That nature itself is the imperfection, which causes all kinds of problems, because everybody thinks like that. So the point is, better be imperfect by way of authenticity. Be authentic. Imperfect to hona hi hai. There will be imperfection, like it or not. Better be authentic. That is the point of these 5 verses, 45 to 49. And the formula is Krishna consciousness, self-control, jitatma, and giving up the results, tyaga. Are you following? So this is where we stopped last time. Everybody is good with this much discussion? I hope there are no doubts, there are no ifs and buts. It's very clear that this material world, the entire fabric, is imperfect. Because we consider ourselves to be, yesterday we were having this discussion, we think we are the be all and end all, everything we can do. Everything comes from us. So I was asking somebody, did you cook lunch? Somebody said yes. Okay, how did you cook? What did you cook? They said idli. Okay, so you just transformed some rice into idli. That's your credit. No, give you that credit. Where did the rice come from? And if you go far back enough, you can say from the farmer and this and that and that. First, you need the seed of rice. And you need soil, and you need rain, and you need air, you need all sunlight. We are not the creator of any of these things. How can we claim that we made the idli? We had some part in making the idli, but not all. But we think we made it fully. And then we eat it. We don't offer it to Krishna out of love. We don't offer it to anybody else either. And we take it, consume it, and that is the imperfection. We are being hypocritic cheats. That's who we are being. We are supposed to share with others. Okay, and ultimately we have to share with the owner, isn't it? We are taking from the owner, but not even offering out of love. It's like, father always keeps getting a box of chocolate for the child. The child always gobbles it up, never turns around and says, Dad, would you like one? So that is the imperfection. Neither he gives it to his brothers and sisters. He just hogs it all. Everything for me. But Dad has brought it, so share it with your, siblings. So that is the imperfection. That is why the fabric itself is imperfect. Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam, first verse of Ishopanishad. Okay, that everything is provided by the Lord. But what we do, we take as if everything belongs to us. Krishna says, Ma gridha kasyasvid dhanam. Don't take the quota or the dhan beyond what is allocated for you. Anyway, so that whole discussion is there. Now we come to, so the point here is don't strive for material perfection. There's no point. You will never be perfect at a material level. So how to be perfect? That will come in this red color. I have put 2.5 verses. Very famous 2.5 verses. We will come to it shortly. This is how to remember 2.5. There are 2.5s, total making 5. So we will remember. 6 months, 1 year later, when I meet you and I ask you which are the 2.5 verses, you need to remember. That's the, like you say, the name sticks, when you say, Google it. Google it means search for it. You could use Yahoo search engine as well, but we still called Google it. It's like the 2.5 verses, the 2.5. So we will come to it. Okay, so this is where we left off yesterday. Now the conclusion begins. So this is the next part of 18th chapter. So the conclusion starts. Now we are on the final stretch of the Mount Everest. All right. So everybody with me, please have your Bhagavad Gitas in front of you. And please pay very rapt attention for those, at least for those who are going through it the first time. And even those who are going it second, third, fifth time, whatever. These are the most important verses of Bhagavad Gita. Nothing in the Bhagavad Gita is more important than these verses. Krishna has saved the best for the last. And I am not saying this. You will see that Krishna will say this. So if we are reading Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, we got to agree, or we got to, go by what he's saying. So he's going to say that. So we will see. And I don't have slides for the last portions. Slides don't do justice. Then I will close the slides and you need to just have the book. Okay? It's like you're climbing Mount Everest. No more any oxygen tank. No more any things. We'll just go bare. That's the best way to understand. Okay. That guy didn't tolerate it. I could see a blue screen there.
We don't need the slides anymore.
We don't need the slides anymore. That's true. All right, but we do need slides till that point, till we get high. We are not yet on the summit. All right, so the conclusion begins. So these 4 verses are going to talk about the getting to the Brahman realization. So remember, there are 3 levels of understanding the absolute truth. What are they? The first is, the lowest level is Brahman, then Paramatma, then Bhagavan. Okay, so this is the Brahman realization level, 50 to 53. 4 verses. So Lord Krishna says that I am going to explain to you in summary. So in the 50th verse, he says, Samasena aiva kaunteya nishtha jnanasya ya para, the second line. So Samasena means in summary, I am going to tell you about achieving the Brahman realization or the Brahman liberation. One sec, let me just log in here. And then he says that by continuously performing one's own duties, nishkama karma, that is, nishtha jnanasya ya para, and then advancing from there to param jnana. So if you remember, now he's a very, very, very quick summary. That's why he himself says it's a summary, samasena. This whole thing, like 3 chapters, second, third, and fourth, are all being covered in one verse. He's referring to that. How we go from Nishkama Karma Yoga, which was the primary content of second chapter, the latter half of second chapter, was all about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Correct? So that whole thing. Then going to Jnana Yoga, which is fourth chapter. So advancing to that. So we see here, through Nishtha, through determination, Jnanasya ya para. So one comes from Nishkama Karma Yoga, which was described just now, what we just said in the previous slide, that authentically do your duty without being attached to the result. That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Advancing to the topmost Jnana, Jnanasya ya para. So that is what is the point, that one goes to the level of Jnana and then one comes to the stage of Brahman liberation. And that Brahman liberation is summarized in the next verse. Let me log in here. So in these 51, 52, 53, these 3 verses are together describing the stage of Brahman liberation. What does Brahman liberation look like? Or a person who has attained that kind of level, full level of jnana, what does it look like? That is being described in these 3 verses, 51, 52, 53. And the last line is Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Such a person is eligible for or attains Brahman liberation. And the essence, we will read it. I'm going to read it. The essence is complete detachment from matter. Full detachment from matter. Matter does not affect that person. And also it means complete detachment from material. What is matter all about? Wherever there is matter, there is dualism, material dualism. This is not, we are not talking about dualism as Atma and Paramatma. That is spiritual dualism, Dvaitavada. We do accept spiritual dualism, Atma and Paramatma. Material dualism. What is material dualism? Man, Apaman. The whole material world is made up of dualism. Mine, not mine. Us versus them. Isn't us versus them the fundamental problem in our life? Us versus them. That is the problem. Win, lose. Love, hate. That is material dualism. So one completely rises above material dualism. And we have seen so many times in Bhagavad Gita, one sees pebbles of stone and gold as the same. That is, stone and gold is also dualism. We don't like stone, we like gold. Like, dislike, love, hate. So that is material dualism. So complete detachment from matter and material dualism, that is that state of Brahman realization. Okay. Let's see. So that was the slide that was being shown. Complete detachment from matter and material dualism. So that is the state of realization of Brahman realization. So I'll read the 51 to 53. Being purified, just the English, okay, just for sake of time. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, that is detachment, being freed from attachment and hatred. One who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship, and peaceful, such a person is elevated to the position of self-realization. Okay, so that is the stage of Brahman, or that is what it looks like. Okay, that is what it looks like. The person who has attained this stage, that's what you will, those are the symptoms you will see. Now we go into the next verse. Now things are getting, the what do you call, the elevation is increasing very rapidly. It's going to increase. So please stay with me. This is the most important part of Bhagavad Gita that we are going to cover for the next several verses. Just 25 verses are left. That whole 25 verses we are going to, for the next 15 verses, just pay very, very, very careful attention. So the stage of Brahman realization. So the previous one was about the state of the person. Now, once he has attained Brahman realization, how does that look? This is how does the person behave? What are the symptoms of a person? What does the Brahman realization itself look like? So this verse is also very important. Brahma bhutah prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. So let us unpack this verse. So in that stage, Brahma bhutah, this living entity becomes one with Brahman, merges into Brahman, the spiritual Brahman, which is outside the material world. Okay, Brahma bhutah. Then prasannatma, one experiences eternal joy. Prasanna, his soul becomes very happy. Now there is a difference here. This happiness is coming as a negative. Negative of what? Of material suffering. There has been so much suffering in the material world that the lack of suffering, which means the negative, is what gives joy. Okay? You are in a jail. It's not that you are still in the palace, let's say. Just getting out of the jail and breathing fresh air itself is joyful. Not being in the jail is happiness. You're still not in a palace, in a comfortable, whatever, swimming pool. But just getting out is a source of eternal happiness. So that is the happiness being mentioned here. And that person has no more material desires or material lamentation. Na shochati, na kankshati. No shocha. Shocha means dukkha. Kankshati means akanksha. No desires. So I don't want anything. No material. He's already gone above that. Na shochati, na kankshati. And then he sees every living entity. Samaha. Samaha means equal. Sarveshu bhuteshu. All living entities. He is able to see them as equal because he sees every living entity as the spirit soul. So that is the stage of Brahman. Samah sarveshu bhuteshu. And here comes the most important line of this verse. Mad bhaktim labhate param. Mad bhaktim, my bhakti, labhate means labh. We say labh means to get or gain. Param. Param means he gets the highest impetus for performing bhakti. He gets bhakti. He has already done so much hard work, So much hard work. Do you agree that look at the previous 3 verses? Is that hard work? Complete detachment from matter. Through the process of jnana, one has come to that level. Bhagavan gives him the impetus to perform bhakti. At that point, if he has not come here through bhakti, we short circuit this and go directly to Vaikuntha. Okay, so then one doesn't even, encounter this stage like the express train. It doesn't even stop at some stations. It skips them. It passes through them, but it doesn't stop. So you see it, maybe again, I'm just making it up. That's all in the spiritual world. So it's not like in the 3-dimensional space and, you're flying in a rocket. It's not like that. But you just skip that level. But here in that Brahma Bhuta stage, one gets the impetus to perform bhakti. Mad bhaktim labhate param. So this is not the final level. This is definitely a spiritual level, but even in the spiritual world, there are levels of advancement. Just like in 7.19. What is 7.19? A very famous verse. Bahunam janmanamante Jnanavan mam prapadyate. Bahunam janmanamante. After many, many, many lifetimes, Jnanavan, those who are Jnanavans, like who are endowed with Jnana, like we say Dhanvan, Buddhiman, Jnanavan. So Jnanavan means those who are endowed with Jnana, mam prapadyate. Ultimately, the Jnanis take shelter of or surrender to me. Prapadya means to surrender, to take shelter of. So this stage of jnana or this process of jnana can give Brahman realization, but there are higher levels as well. And because one has done so much hard work to come to this stage, Bhagavan gives the impetus of bhakti. Mad bhaktim labhate param. At this stage, now this is all being described at this stage. One cannot say bhakti is the cause of this, because everything else is, whatever is being said is a symptom of this or is a characteristic of this stage. Look at it. Prasannatma, na shochati, na kankshati, samah sarveshu bhuteshu. Everything is a symptom or a characteristic of this stage. Mad bhaktim labhate param. Then he gets the impetus to perform, to advance to Krishna bhakti. That is the very important point. Some people ask me, can we do bhakti or can one do bhakti after Brahman realization? So what is the answer? Why are you hesitating?
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Mad bhaktim labhate param at the Brahma Bhuta stage. Please listen carefully, okay? To further emphasize this point, then what happens? What happens then on achieving this stage? Next verse. What happens? This is also very important. Lord Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yascha ashmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. 55th verse we are on. So, first line he is giving a concept that bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only a bhakta. Avajanati means can know me. Janati, jante hain, to know. So bhaktya mam can know me. Yavan yascha asmi, as I am. Tatvatah, in essence, which means the Bhagavan realization. One can get Brahman realization through jnana, but how can one get full realization of me? He didn't use mam in Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. He didn't say mam bhuta prasannatma. He says Brahma bhuta prasannatma. He gets Brahman realization, which is also his aspect, his effulgence. But here he is saying mam abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tatvatah. My topmost, my tattva. Tattva means my core essence, which is the Bhagavan realization. So through Gyan, can you realize Bhagavan? No. Only how you can realize Bhagavan? Through bhakti. It's right there. So first is the concept that only through bhakti you can realize me as I am standing in front of you. As I am. Yavan yascha asmi. As I am. Asmi, am. Tattvataha, in essence, my personal features, my personal aspect. One who can love you back. Brahman cannot love you back. So, tato, very important word. Okay, I'm not even scrolling the slides. This is why I didn't make slides for the future verses. So, again, just a quick recap. Only a bhakta can know me in essence. My personal aspect as I am. So, this is bhakti jnana. That jnana, which was mentioned earlier, may not have been bhakti jnana. That could be sankhya jnana, the knowledge of the soul, the spiritual knowledge. But a bhakta also has jnana, janati. Janati itself is having jnana in it. What can you know? You can only know knowledge. In the word knowledge, there is the word know within it. The root is just know. Jnana has jnana. Jnana means to knowledge, something to be known. So this is what kind of you're knowing about Bhagavan. So it is also jnana, but it is bhakti jnana. Okay. So one gets, only a bhakta can get bhakti jnana. So that is the concept. Then tato, which means there is a sequence. Upon realizing Brahman realization, tato, okay, at the Brahman realization level, tato, mam tattvato gyatva, then upon realizing my tattva. And how do you realize tattva of Bhagavan? By bhakti. So, tato means then, which means after Brahman realization, if one, now you can do it before Brahman realization also. That is what is the message of Bhagavad Gita. It's going to come. While we are here, we can directly do bhakti. But even after Brahman realization, if one does bhakti, then one gains my bhakti jnana. Tato mam tattvato gyatva. Then one gets my jnana of my tattva. And then one can enter into my abode. Vishate tad anantaram. Vishate means to enter. Enter into somewhere, right? You have to enter into something or somewhere. Tad anantaram means into my abode. What Krishna has been talking about in so many other verses. For example, he says, Yad gatva na nivartante tad dham paramam mama. So he's talking about my abode, my dham. So vishate tad anantaram, that one enters into my abode. Okay. So from Brahman liberation to Vaikuntha. Or we can go from material world to Vaikuntha. We are coming to that now. That's the express train, which skips this station of Brahman realization, but that is being described. If you're on passenger train, it will stop there. You can get off there, eat some chaat pakodi, take some time, take the next train after that to the station. Or you can just start from the express train and then you don't get to get off at the station. All right. So now we will go into the next one. Okay. So this is the Brahman realization. Everybody clear? All right. So now comes those 2.5 verses, the famous 2.5. How to do your activity. So to round up this whole discussion of reaching this Brahman realization by doing Nishkama Karma Yoga, okay, and going to the level of Jnana. That's what we discussed. But there will always be imperfections. You have to really, really, really work hard to come to that stage of Jnana. There's an easier way now that the transition to Bhakti is happening. Okay. Instead of doing that, instead of doing all that hard work, there is an alternative. And that alternative is being introduced from this verse onwards. So these are the famous 2.5 verses of acting, completely acting, as in not like an actor or like a false acting, means doing your duties, doing your actions in full 100% Krishna consciousness, being conscious of Krishna. So that is the discussion coming up now. So the discussion is in these 2.5 verses. So now we are on 56. So which are the famous 2.5 verses? The two numbers are 56, 57, 58.5. And then there'll be another 2.5 verses, which will be the next 58.5, 59, and 60. So total 5 verses, 56 to 60. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Divided into 2.5 and 2.5. So this is the good 2.5 side of things. Then that will be the alternative. So these are the verses which tell now how to do your activities, how to do your duty in full bhakti. So you have to do your activities. Activities need to be done. You don't have to reach that Brahman stage. That is not required. Just do your act. It's very hard. Can any of you do that? Do you have any hope of doing that in this life? Of reaching that Brahman stage? We cannot even skip a meal. So hard to do that. Let alone, skipping all meals from today onwards. Upavas day means, oh, today Upavas. Oh, okay. Luckily, there is a tomorrow. So today, all you do is instead of focusing on Bhagavan, you focus on tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to eat like Bhima. So that's our situation. So it's not possible for us to do that. So there is an alternative. So how to do all activities or duties in complete Krishna consciousness, that's coming up in these 2.5 verses. So 56th verse, what is Krishna saying? Sarva karmani api sada. Sarva means all. Karmani, all karma, all actions that you are doing. Api sada, all the time. All actions, all time. Okay? No ifs and buts. All actions at all time. Kurvano mad vyapashrayaha. Kurvano means you must do. Mad vyapashrayaha means under my. Mad ashraya means under my shelter. So do all activities under my shelter. Always. I should have added a word always. Sarvada or sada. What does it mean under my shelter? What is the meaning? I have added these bullets. The meaning of under my shelter is with the consciousness that I cannot do anything myself fully. Just in the beginning of the class, we took the example. Can you make idlis fully by yourself? No. You got to manufacture your own sun, your own rain, your own soil, your own water. Already too much. And your own rice seeds. Okay? After you manufacture all these 5 things, then maybe you can make some idli on your own. Otherwise, you are dependent on Bhagavan. We just fail to acknowledge. The box of chocolates just appears. The child thinks. I said, let there be chocolates, and the chocolates appeared. My father's role, the fact that he works hard to earn the money, he went to the store to buy it for me, is all, bogus. Doesn't exist. That's how we live. So now we live in the consciousness that my father, our father, Krishna has done so much. So I cannot do anything myself fully. I need Krishna's support for everything because Krishna is the supporter, creator of the entire universe anyway. So that is called Mad Vyapa Ashrayaha. In this consciousness of taking my shelter, Sarva karmani api sada. Kurvani or kurvano. Do all activities in this consciousness. How hard is that to understand? You can still make idlis, you can still eat it. It is the consciousness that is different. Nobody is stopping you from eating idlis here. In the previous Brahma Bhuta stage, yes, you have to give up. You should have no difference between feeling hungry and feeling satisfied. Bas ho gaya, aaj ke liye itna. 20 idlis I have eaten. Has anybody eaten 20 idlis in one meal? Suppose if you eat, can you eat the 21st one? No. That is satisfied, like fully satisfied. Then you say, I don't want. Versus a hungry person who is looking at one idli even as if like it is a piece of gold. Has anybody done Nirjal Vrat for one day? One idli next day looks like a piece of gold, right? Hai ki nahi? Waiting for the fast breaking time. Isn't it? That is duality. So that should go away, but very hard. Instead, you eat idlis, but with Krishna consciousness. Much easier, doable. That is Krishna's recommendation. And acting in this way, keep doing things, keep doing all activities. Sarva karmani api sada. Your whole life, do all your activities in this manner. Then, mat prasadat avapnoti. By my grace. Anyway, you cannot do anything yourself. You cannot make even an idli by yourself. So my prasad, which means my grace, my kindness, or my, just my gift. Prasad is a gift. Has to be there. So by my prasad, mat prasadat avapnoti, shashvatam padam avyayam. That you will go to that spiritual abode. One attains the spiritual destination. Padam avyayam. Pada means what? It's a destination, right? Pada. Where it's a destination, padam. So one attains the spiritual destination. Same thing. Even if this spiritual destination is the same as Brahman, that will come later. But still you get the spiritual destination through this process. Much easier. So that's the first verse, 56. Because whatever we do on our own strength, it will never be good enough. Our own strength is only 1%. 99% is all coming from Krishna. So you open your heart for Krishna. That's all you have to do. Krishna will open his doors for you. That is the meaning. Next verse, he elaborates on it. What is the mindset? Again, elaboration. Chetasa sarva karmani. Chetasa means cheta. Chitta is what? Your mind or your heart. Sarva karmani. So what your mind or your attitude? It's basically the mindset. I have just chosen that word. The mindset or the attitude. For what? Sarva karmani. For all activities. Everything that you do. Now here sada is not there, but it is implied. All activities at all times. Mai sanyasya matparaha. That give up all outcomes. Sanyasya. To give up. Matparaha, to me. Considering me to be the supreme. Ultimately, I am the receiver of all the fruits anyway. The devotee never takes that this fruit is for me. I will enjoy. Like the child, oh, actually my dad was supposed to enjoy the box of chocolates. He is giving it to me. Ishavashyam idam sarvam. That everything belongs to Ishwar. I am just a caretaker. With that consciousness, with that attitude, do all your activities. Buddhi yogam upashritya. So, okay, and do all your activities under my protection. That's the other meaning. Mai sanyasya matparaha. Under my protection. Then take shelter. Buddhi yogam upashritya. Buddhi yoga. Bhagavan has given intelligence, right? Buddhi. Use that intelligence. Buddhi yoga is described in 10.10. How 10.10 starts? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayantite. Very important verse in 10th chapter. That is the conclusion of the Bhakti Yoga section, if you remember. You can look at the videos again. So, what he says is that Dadami Buddhi Yogam, I give the intelligence. Ye namam upayantite, how they can come to me. So, Bhagavan has given us Buddhi, right? So, we should not. How many of you have had some servant in your house? Should the servant just be a idiot servant or a smart servant? Smart servant. You tell him once what you like. The best servant is when you don't even have to tell. He knows, now my master wants this. And you feel happy, अरे तो सीख गया. Smart आदमी है. Didn't even have to ask. He knows. Like all your smart gadgets these days. They know when you are out of the house, so the AC reduces, heater on. But sometimes they malfunction also. But we like all smart, right? Smart. So Bhagwan has given us, he wants us to act with our intelligence turned on. Not, he doesn't want us to switch it off. When he's saying, take my shelter, doesn't mean like take your shelter, now I'll switch off my brain. No. Use your intelligence. What is the meaning of use your intelligence? Apply my instructions. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, now they will not tell you everything in every specific situation what you should do. This is a general instruction. You need to apply it in specific situations in your life. That is intelligence, which is aligned with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. You need to apply your intelligence. Even when you are sick, the doctor will tell you specific instructions for every little thing. If you keep calling the doctor, after 2 days, he'll stop taking your calls. Isn't it? I coughed. What should I do? I sneezed. What should I do? He will say, very high maintenance patient. So you must use your intelligence. That is what is meant. Buddhi yogam upashritya. Also take shelter of your buddhi yoga, which has been given by me. And I have given all the instructions. And I have sent guru and sadhus. And I have given shastra. Use all that and take my shelter. Mat chittah satatam bhava. So now the time factor is also coming. Satatam. Previous verse had sada. Satatam also means always. So with this consciousness, always be fully conscious of me. Always, satatam, have this kind of consciousness. How hard is that to understand? Like for a small child or a idiot child, you have to repeat 5 times. That is what Krishna is doing. This way, that way, that way, that way. He's just trying to hammer it in our head. All right? So the point is, always do all activities in total Krishna consciousness, with full consciousness of Krishna. Now that's also hard, okay? It's not easy. We have total self-consciousness. Instead of the self, we have to replace with Krishna. It's very hard. It's not a slam dunk at all. It is hard. But it can be done within a lifetime by practice. You have to give up some nonsense that you are doing. What nonsense? All the things that putting me in the center. You have to actively take steps to bring Krishna in your life. So after today, we may not see each other, or we may see each other after some time or wherever. So if you have questions about what can I practice, we have discussed this so many times, but you should make it a point to stay connected with Krishna. Out of sight, out of mind is a property of the mind. Even for the person you love the most, after out of sight, after some time he goes out of mind. After somebody loved one dies, it's not like today's people keep lamenting for 20 years. After 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, then okay, life goes on. Even for the most loved person, isn't it? And we don't even love Krishna at this moment. So yes, that will go out of sight, out of mind very soon. If our most loved ones can go out of sight, out of mind, Krishna has no chance in our minds. So we have to consciously make him part of our life, make him within sight, so that he is within mind. So come up with your buddhi, if you are so interested in this process, to make him within sight. Have a picture of Krishna whom you worship every day. And you don't have to sing 20 different Sanskrit shlokas which would have no gobbledygook meaning of it. Make up your own prayer in English or Hindi or whatever is your natural language. Write your own prayer and just read that prayer every day to him in English, in your own language. And every week you can change it. It's like you're talking to a person. So it would be boring to say the same thing to that person for 20 years. Maybe you can change it. That is the best kind of prayer. Your personal prayer to Bhagavan. Talk to him. Make him a part of your life. When you love someone, you want to know about him. There is tons and tons and tons to know about Bhagavan from Srimad Bhagavatam. He has given that to us so that we can know about him. So, take part. So this is the first thing I talked was Kirtanam. Saying a prayer to Krishna. Kirtan just doesn't mean with dholak and harmonium. Of course, that is nice. Once we have the realization that the name of Krishna is no different than talking to Krishna, then that makes sense. Otherwise, it is a musical performance. It is still beneficial, but that consciousness may not be fully there. Or talk to him like a person. So many people do that to their loved ones. I don't know. I haven't had such this one, but in movies we see, they go to the grave and they stand there and talk and all those things we see. I mean, that's natural. That person is apparently not listening. He's dead in the grave. Why do you talk? Because of love. So why can't we do that with Krishna, even though he's not physically doesn't seem to be there? In this case, he's there. He's listening. Okay? That is Kirtana. Shravana means knowing about him, hearing about him. We will just see how Shravana of Bhagavad Gita is beneficial. Srimad Bhagavatam. Do some archana and vandanam. Have a little picture of Krishna in your house. My point is, bring him in sight and then he will come in mind. The opposite of out of sight, out of mind is in sight, in mind. So the starting point is insight. Then in mind will begin to happen. That is the fundamental point. That is the starting point towards total Krishna consciousness. Then if you do that for 15, 20 years, sincerely, it will happen. You will develop true love for him. This is the starting point. So I have told, really, I cannot tell any more clearly how to start. The only next step is now I start coming to your house and start doing it for you. How much more clearly can I say? Give the prescription. Okay? Yes, sir. What's your question?
I think you partially answered this in the end, but my question was that one could do all of these things, but maybe
with bhava, okay? Okay, go ahead.
maybe that's the point. But the motivation could be selfish, not love. that I want to do this because I want to get to a better place.
Better material place or better spiritual place?
Spiritual.
That is not selfish. Selfish means material. A motivation, a spiritual motivation, you cannot use the word selfish in the sense we use it. One, a devotee needs to have the deep desire to go back to Krishna in the spiritual world, and there is nothing wrong with that according to the principles of bhakti. There is Gyan Marg, there are other Marga which says, oh, we don't even that is, absolutely everything is rejected.
But so one of the things that I've seen in me over the last 6 months is that I'm remembering Krishna more.
Very
right?
good.
But I'm not remembering Krishna in the same way that I remember my children.
Yes,
Feeling of love is not there.
it will come. Remember those 4 levels, FDDL. Remember this acronym. I had talked about this. FDDL. Do you remember that? Okay, let's revise it. F for fear. So approaching Krishna out of fear. Hurry, if I don't approach, I will get cancer. Or my job will be lost. Prabhuji said every day you must do. If I don't do, Krishna is going to be like a, hafta nahi diya, chalo. Bishke aao. So threat, out of fear, I have to give hafta, $11 in the box. You all know hafta? It's a slang, what you call, the goons collect tax. So, protection tax. Right? So it is out of fear. Then desire, there is no threat, but yeah, it is like chamcha. If I do this, he will give me something. So little bit like a, under table deal. If you want something, thoda maska lagao thoda. That is desire, FD. Now comes the spiritual. So both are material. Both are materially motivated actions. Then comes duty. Just out of duty. So you are probably at the duty level, I don't know. Because Bhagavad Gita says so. I am developing my faith in the words of Krishna. I don't know if Krishna is there. I don't even know if Bhagavad Gita is coming from Krishna. I don't know, but half of India believes it. Bhagavad Gita is such an important textbook. All the scholars, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Bhagavad Gita is counted along with Bible, Quran, Gita. It's like, one of the, the topmost textbooks. And there I read all these verses. Okay, chalo, let me start. It says so. Must be right. Let me try. Duty. So there is no material motivation. There is no nothing. The motivation is there. That I want to make spiritual progress. I want to give this process a try. Is there love in that process here? Not yet. No. So that is good. That's fine. So that is F, D, the second D, duty. And then love, L for love. So love will come. And this concept is not strange. Very straightforward example we have all seen in our lives. Arranged marriage is like this. The traditional arranged marriage. Not like today's arranged marriage, love marriage, all useless. What is that? Love at first sight, divorce at first bite. Applies to arranged marriage also. Then you blame your mom. You didn't find the right girl for me. Too much ahankar, too much ego, no sense of compromise, no sense of sacrifice. When we say arranged marriage, it means that, okay, that's done. There is no back door. Somehow or the other, we have to make it work. I didn't know this girl or this boy before we were put together. Maybe we only selected through some web marriage site, matchmaking, whatever. We saw whatever matching criteria we did, we got married. then love develops, no? How many arranged marriages are there which end up in so much love? Have you look at that tradition? We cannot probably talk like this in another 50 years. The concept itself will become like alien, but at least we can see in our parents' life and all arranged marriages, but so much love is there later, isn't it? Can you say no, never no love was there? No, it develops gradually. So from duty, love can develop. Definitely, you keep doing your duty. Both parties have to do their duty. Love will develop. Guaranteed. At least from Krishna's side, he will do everything to keep his side of the bargain. You shouldn't divorce. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I remember the concept very well.
That's okay, but do you now get it? Does it answer your question though? So be at the duty level. Don't be materially motivated. Be spiritually motivated. Not being motivated at all was never part of the discussion. You can invent it as your own process. I want a motivation-less progress or a path. I'm sorry, you are in the wrong class. Then you go find the class which teaches that. This class is not going to teach that. I don't know such a method. Material, spiritual motivation is absolutely needed. Yesterday we were talking about it, Sambandha Gyan. That is Sambandha. There is a motivation to find that treasure. Without motivation, why will you dig? The only difference is it is a spiritual motivation, not a material motivation. That is the difference. All right. So please, get out of this. We say too much. No motivation, no motivation. We forget to put the word material motivation. Okay. Okay. Total Krishna consciousness should be the goal. Start small, but firm. And keep making Krishna, progress in Krishna consciousness, insight in mind. Remember that. All right. Next, half verse. So, the 58th verse, half. Mad chittah sarva durgani mad prasadat tarishyasi. Whatever problems come, durgani. Durgani means problems. Material problems. Sarva durgani, all material problems. Mad chittah. Let me advance the slides. If you do all activities like this, mad chittah, like how? Mad chittah, with my consciousness, mad chittah. You will overcome all obstacles, sarva durgani. How you will overcome? Mat prasadat. I will take away the obstacles. Or somehow I will build bridges. Mat prasadat, by his help, by his grace. Mat prasadat tarishyasi. Tarishyasi means tair jaoge. You will go past it. You will swim over it. Tarishyasi, you will overcome it. Very clear? So there will be obstacles. Material world will have obstacles. But if you are fully focused on Krishna, Krishna will remove those obstacles. By his grace. You cannot remove obstacles, but Krishna can. So basic again point is arrange or revolve your life around Krishna. Next time I will put this better thing. Insight in mind. That's a nice thing. I just invented it during the class. Out of sight, out of mind, we know. So insight. Big red board you should put. Insight. Then in mind will happen. But sometimes we become tuned out. We can put insight. We also, when we bought this house, can you see all Krishna pictures? It has to be active insight. Otherwise, we get tuned out of it. Happens? I'll give you a more practical example. Doctor said, you drink more water because I'm little overweight. It's obvious. You can all see that. Right? I'm not lean and thin. So doctor said, drink more water. Then you're, whatever, drinking water is a good thing. So I was like, okay, drink water, blah, blah. Now it reminds me, I have a bottle of water here, which I should drink. So I found an app which will always remind you to drink water. Every 2 hours, ping. After 2 weeks, I started snoozing. So it was in sight. For 2 weeks, it was in sight, then snooze, snooze. For 2 months, I was like, oh, app became useless. Then I finally deleted the app. Or whatever. After I changed my phone, I never installed that app. So sometimes it is possible that you make some arrangements, but also it doesn't mean that if you just put Krishna's picture on your walls, oh, insight. Okay, good. Prabhuji said insight, insight, done. 6 months later, still not Krishna conscious. So you should get the point, okay? I'm just telling you all the possible pitfalls of insight. Please keep it in mind, okay? Clear? Next 2.5 verses. So today we will go a little longer. Already I can see it is 6:10 and we are not yet at the summit. So we might go half an hour, 40 minutes earlier. If possible, try to attend. Rest is up to you. However important this topic is for you, you might attend or you can watch recording. But I'm not going to take away the quality from at least my side. I'm not going to rush through this. And I'm not going to delay it for one more week. I want to be done today. So you all understood? Mat chitta sarva durgani, mat prasadat tarishyasi. Very, very strong statements Krishna is making. He's making bold statements here. Promise after promise after promise. Do this, do this, do this. I will do this for you. Okay. Yes, it is you can say it's a deal. Again, the same thing, but it's a spiritual deal. It's not like I give you $11, you give me a job. I give you $21, you give me a good wife, good son. It is a spiritual deal and that is fine. Yes, we are taking his name, we are doing Nama Kirtan and all so that he can love us back. We show our love to receive his love. Yes, it is an exchange. And there is no problem in such an exchange. This is the process of bhakti. If you have a problem with this exchange, you are in the wrong class. It's perfectly okay to have this exchange of love. And this love is spiritual love, not love. That is, when we say it is love, it is true love. And we are willing to wait for Krishna's reciprocation. Material love means if you don't reciprocate by a deadline, I'm done. Then that material element is there. I have a deadline. Now, Krishna is not going to make us wait long, but at least our mindset is deadline free. There is no deadline. We just love Krishna. He is free. Just like he has been waiting for us freely. He has given us a free choice, no deadline. If you don't start doing bhakti by this time, I'm going to switch off your heartbeat. He can do the switch off of heartbeat, right? Click, done, massive cardiac arrest, gone. One of my friends' mom, she was watching TV. She felt like going to the kitchen to get a cup of water. And didn't return for like 5 minutes. The kids they had paused the TV or movie or whatever. They're like, oh, come on, man, how much time it gets to take water? Our movie, we are not able to play the movie because she's not back yet. When they go to the kitchen, she's on the floor. Perfectly fine, laughing. Just went to get water. Immediate, called ambulance, this, that, all the things they did. They said she passed away like then itself. Massive cardiac arrest. Not like a gradual. Didn't take like 2 minutes to die. Probably 2 seconds. So Krishna can switch off at any moment. But he has not put any deadline on us. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, we are making him wait. So similarly, our mindset should be that we don't impose any deadline. Otherwise, it becomes material motivated. Okay? Now, Krishna is not he's not as a jerk like us. So he will reciprocate. That is true. But we have no deadline. That is the spiritual consciousness of love, spiritual love. All right. Now, this is the next 2.5 verses. We will go through this one quickly. No, not quickly. Looks like. What? So, the material alternative and its consequences. If you don't do all your activities in this consciousness, mad chittaha, in my consciousness, then, so in Arjuna's case, if you decide to not fight or fight, doesn't matter, but not in my consciousness, not in the way of the last 2.5 verses, not acting under my shelter, madvyapashrayaha, not under my protection, not offering the result to me, rather as ahankar, I will fight, like I will make the idli. What do you think? I have all these weapons I have amassed. I'm a powerful fighter. I can fight. Ahankar. And ignore my instructions. All these are points in the verse, by the way. Atha chet tvam ahankaran na shrosyasi. अहंकार की वजह से करोगे न श्रोस्यसी, नहीं सुनोगे मेरी बात. श्रोस्यसी, don't listen to me, which means ignore my instructions. Then vinangshasi, maybe the word vanquish came from vinangshasi. Anyway, we don't want to speculate on Sanskrit. Vinangshasi, you will be destroyed, you will be lost. Vinangshasi means to be destroyed. Now, destroyed doesn't mean like switch off of heartbeat. We have been ignoring Krishna for lifetimes over lifetime. He has not yet given a heart attack to us, right? We are all living here, sitting in this room, which means that vanquished from spiritual progress. You will remain in this material world. So, vanquished from happiness, vanquished from spiritual destination. You will be in this cycle of suffering, and you may still win the war. Yes, you may still win the war. What about the next war? The next war, the next war, and next life, and next life, and next life? What about that? Will there be happiness after it? All that is up in the air. So you will be doing it out of your own ahankar and by ignoring my instructions. Atha chet tvam ahankaran na shrosyasi vinakshasi. All right. And it's not a threat. It's not a threat. It's just a fact. Just a fact. Then he says that also one more thing. Let's say if you decide not to fight, that was if you do fight or not fight, but out of your ahankar, whatever choice you make, you are making it not out of my consciousness, but out of your consciousness, self-consciousness, not Krishna consciousness, not as an act of bhakti, but as an act of ahankar. Let us say you choose to not fight, but you are a kshatriya, subhava. By your nature, you are a kshatriya, you will itch. अरे साला वो लोग फाइट कर रहे हैं, मैं यहाँ साइड में बैठ के ड्रामा देख रहा हूँ. अरे my brothers are getting, defeated, whatever. Or maybe all the brothers also come. Then again the thought will come, he did this to me, Duryodhan, that. Arey, Kshatriya spirit is there. Anyway, you will end up fighting, because that is your nature of Kshatriya. Your nature of Kshatriya will bring you back to war, whether you realize it or not, sooner or later. But now, So anyway, you will fight. This was the if you decide not to fight. Anyway, you will end up fighting. But now you are fighting according to or out of material consciousness, not out of Krishna consciousness. हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, लेके बुद्धू घर को आए. Not out of my consciousness. This will make all the difference. So that is the point. You may still, win the war, but the consciousness is the main difference. You will still fight, but the consciousness will be material. Such action out of ahankar or swabhava is just an act of illusion. So action may be the same. It is the consciousness with which you do the action that matters, or which makes all the difference. All the difference. Are you following? So in these 5 verses, Krishna is describing how to do all actions and how not to do actions. You following? All right. Now we come to the summit. Getting closer. So we end the slides. No more slideshow. Just the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Everybody has Bhagavad Gita? Now slides don't serve the purpose. Now comes Paramatma realization. So we are done with Brahman realization, and Krishna is ultimately telling that no need to do all that hard work of getting rid of this matter completely, the duality of matter, nothing. Be engaged in matter and material actions. So to say, externally they are material, your consciousness is on me. And that spiritualizes everything, because I do things for you. How many times he used the word mat prasadat? In 2.5 verses, he used it twice. Prasad means what? Not the prasad you get in a plate. Prasad, the meaning is his reciprocation. What he does for you. That is prasad. So that is what we discussed. Now comes the Paramatma realization. Also, there is surrender at the Paramatma level also. But the highest surrender is at Bhagavan level. So this 61st verse is describing the Paramatma. Ishvarah sarva bhutanam. That Paramatma, the word Paramatma is not here, but it is extremely clear that it is referring to Paramatma. Ishvarah sarva bhutanam. The Paramatma is the Ishwar of all living entities. Sarva bhutanam. Hriddeshe Arjuna tisthati. Hridaya, in the heart. Not only in the heart, in the region. Deshe means in the location of the heart. So it's not like in the heart, because heart is a material entity. So it's not in the heart. Also, some people say, oh, so if I do heart transplant, nowadays we do heart transplant, right? So do I get new Paramatma? No, you don't get new Paramatma. You just get a new heart. So Hriddeshe, the same Paramatma is there, but in the it's not like in Paramatma cannot be put in a material box called heart. That's why clearly Lord Krishna is saying Hridda Deshe, Hridaya Desha. Hridaya Desha means in the location of the heart. Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, Tishthati, that Ishvara is sitting in the region of the heart. From the remaining Bhagavad Gita, who is that who sits in the heart? Paramatma. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. This body is like a yantra. What is the meaning of yantra? Machine. So I am sitting in this body. This body is just a machine. You can do all kind of transplant. After you do 20 transplants, you'll get a full body, new body itself. But That's just a machine, like replacing the parts of the machine. The registration will still be the same. It will still be registered under DMV as your vehicle. Just because you replaced the parts, it doesn't change your whatever. Probably bad example. Anyway. So, and it is a material, Maya. Yeah, this yantra is Maya. Maya means material. So it's a material. This body is material, but I am sitting inside this body as Ishvara. Okay, that is Paramatma. What, therefore, knowing this, now 62nd verse. So these two verses are Paramatma. Knowing this, Tameva Sharanam Gacha. Tameva, Tama means that. Who is the that? Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. To that Ishvara, to that Paramatma, Sharanam Gacha, take his shelter. Sarva Bhavena, with full bhava. Again, come to the level of duty, then bhava, and then prema. So FDDL, it could be, we can say FDDBL. We'll discuss this in our Saturday classes very soon. We are starting a new book called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So it's not just simple. Everything has, expand it, zoom it, more layers are there. So after duty comes bhava, then prema. So with full bhava, there is a slight difference between bhava and prema. We will discuss. Those are advanced topics of bhakti. Okay, Bhagavad Gita just introduces bhakti. It doesn't give the full treatment of bhakti. Full treatment of bhakti is available in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That is the book we will start soon on Saturdays as part of our Bhakti Shastri series. But the classes are open to everyone. The Bhakti Shastri students get to do the homeworks and tests and all the hard work, which most people don't want to do. But that produces the internalization also. Anyway, Sarva Bhavena Bharata. With full bhav. Bharata means my dear Arjuna. And then Tat Prasadat. Again Prasad. You cannot do anything on your own anyway. Every time you need prasad. प्रसाद के बिना कोई काम नहीं चलता. प्रसाद तो चाहिए ही. We are like little, people wagging the tail. Like a little dog, How many of you have pet? He wags his tail, you feel so happy. You take one more cookie. All you have to do is wag the tail in love. Rest the master gives. Yes, Mataji, what are you saying?
Just remember, Gopala.
Bhagwan, Gopal will give bhojan, then bhajan. No problem. Bhojan is necessary. We need bhojan as long as the bhojan is prasad. But bhajan should be done with bhav. Anyway, enough of jokes. Tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashwatam. Shashwatam means permanent. This is the spiritual. What is permanent? Only spiritual is permanent. Material is all temporary. आज है कल नहीं है. Today it's there, tomorrow it's gone. Shashwat means permanent. Okay, so tat prasadat param shantim. So what you will get in return when you surrender, tameva sharanam gacha sarva bhavena. Bharata. But with full bhava, sarva bhavena, when you take tameva sharanam of Paramatma, through his prasad, tat prasadat. I am repeating because Krishna is repeating, I am repeating 2 more times. Just so that it gets in your head, my head, everybody's head. What you will get? Shashwat Shanti. Permanent peace. Prapsyasi means you will get. Very simple, okay? It's not that hard. How many of you are finding it very hard? Straightforward only, अच्छा चलो, एक परमात्मा is done. Okay. Now Krishna changes gear. Now we are going into highest gear, top gear. Buckle up. Iti te jnanam. This is jnana, bhakti jnana. There is bhakti here because there is tameva sharanam gaccha. Whenever you're talking about sharan. And previously also we talked about prasadat, doing sarva karmani. And here tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata. Then tat prasadat, by the prasada of Paramatma. Okay. Iti te jnanam akyatam. This jnana, this is knowledge. Some of it is bhakti knowledge, yes. Akyatam, I have described. Akhyata means to vyakhya karna, to describe. Vyakhya means long description. Akyatam means short description. What is it? Guhyat guhyataram maya. Very, very important. Guhyat and guhyataram. Guhya, guhyatara. What is the third level? Huh? नहीं, वो तो यहीं पे है. Tama. So it is not tama. अभी आएगा. It will come. Tama. Tama will come. So this is guhyat guhyataram maya. I have, maya means this is my knowledge. I have explained you. Akyatam. But which is guhyat and guhyatara. Confidential, guhya, and more confidential. In Sanskrit grammar, we have good, better, best. Or you can say, low, medium, high. 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to call. So the word, then word plus tara and word plus tama. So the word itself is guhya here in this case. Guhya tara means more. So just confidential, more confidential, which kind of gives us a hint that most is coming. But not yet. He will say that. He's not going to leave it to our imagination. He's treating us as like a small child. Don't leave anything to their imagination. Tell them exactly. So please, but see, this is only the lower two levels. It's very clear here. So what is Guhya? The Brahman realization, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. That is Guhya. Then Tameva Sharanam Gaccha. What is Tameva? Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. That is Tara. So now Krishna is saying, I have explained these two levels to you. Very clear, hai na? Right? Two levels have been explained? Yes, no? Yes. So, very important point is going to come. Vimrishaitad asheshena. Think about this. Asheshena means for a long time, or asheshena means no limit, he is saying. Shesha means end. Unending. Asheshena. Think about it as long as you want. Krishna really wants Arjun to think about everything that has been said. Now, this is the moment of truth. Yath ichhasi tatha kuru. He is giving full choice to Arjuna. Yath ichhasi tatha kuru. Now you do whatever you want. Krishna doesn't force us to do anything. He just gives guidance. This verse is the most direct reference to Jiva's free will. Bhagavan guides but does not force. Right here he is saying, he has given 63rd verse. There are 700 verses. So I don't know, I don't want to do the math, but 685 verses he has already spoken. So much guidance has been given. But now he is still leaving the final decision whether to fight or not in whose hands? Arjuna. He is not saying Yuddha Kuru, Arjuna. Now you must fight. I have spent so much time explaining you. Now you must do. No, he is giving free, full choice to Arjuna. Very important point. Bhagavan guides. The choice is always ours. Always ours. cannot blame God for your choices. That is our free will. So we are not 100% puppets. Within our sanction limit, okay, we have free will within our sanction limit. Well, I don't want to again spend like next half an hour talking about free will. We have been talking about free will in many, many classes. So that's one tangent I will try to avoid, because that's a big tangent and an important one, but not for today's class. There's a lot of subject we have to cover. Yes, Prabhuji.
Very quick one. He's talked about all three. He's talked about Brahman, he's talked about Paramatma, and he's talked about that through Bhakti you come directly to me. So he's talked about all three levels. Why is he saying only two?
So he has talked about the three levels, yes, but not in the Brahman and the Paramatma realization discussion after the 50th verse. You will see the difference when you see the next level. He wants to make it, yes, he has talked about it. He has referred to it. Yes, you are right. Okay, but don't make it an academic exercise. He's going to talk about it even more emphatically. That's what makes it into its own category of, now I'm going to talk about it. It's not misaligned with the previous reference he gave. It's aligned. But now he's going to exclusively talk about that. That's what makes it deserve its own category. Okay? The reference has been there, but this will be its own reference. Okay? And he will put the word Guhyatama right there. Just in case you may be a smart person, so you made that connection. What if somebody couldn't make that connection?
I think you made that connection for all of us.
Okay, maybe I made it. I'm a smart teacher. I take the credit. Okay, fine. Thank you. But do you get the point? So not everybody may make the connection. So I said Krishna is treating all of us like idiots. Not idiots like in a bad way, but just like a child. Innocent child. Like, you got to just tell him everything. Don't leave anything. But the final choice is still theirs. But give him as much guidance, like clear cut. Leave nothing to chance, Krishna is thinking. Okay. So now, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
What if somebody doesn't make the connection? Okay, we have Srila Prabhupada as our teacher who has also made the connection. I am telling you that, so maybe I helped. Fine. What if somebody doesn't make the connection? All right. Okay, so coming back, so there are two very, very important points in the 63rd verse. I'm not going to move forward from 63 till I make sure I tell you the two important points in the verse. What is the first important point that comes across in this verse? I tell in sequence, na. Look at the verse. Huh? Yes, Sukumar Prabhu on Zoom.
God guide but never force.
That's the second point.
Okay.
The first point is there are levels. And Krishna has clearly put a line. Guhya taram maya. I have told you number 1 and number 2. Or good, better. I have told you. Iti te jnanam akyatam. I have told you now. What? Guhyat guhyataram. So there are 2, 3, whatever. I don't know, 20 levels. I don't know. I have told you 2. Guhyat and guhyataram maya. Now think about it. That is the next important point. Free will. The Krishna gives guidance but does not force. The choices are ours and ours alone. Krishna has told us the consequences of the choices as well. That's clear. We all know the consequence of smoking. Even the cigarette sellers tell you the consequence on the packet. The choice is ours. The consequences are known. Yad ichhasi tatha kuru. Very important point. Okay. Next gear. We're going to shift gears one by one by one. Next gear. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaha. Sarva. Now there was no need for sarva. Means topmost or above all. Sarva. You could have said guhyatamam. Like a super duper emphasis on the point that this is the topmost. the most confidential, sarva guhyatamam. Bhuyaha, again to your point. Bhuyaha means again. References have been given not only in this chapter, in so many previous chapters. Yes. Krishna is acknowledging it's not anything new, but I want to get it in your head that this is the topmost. So if you have been sleeping, if you have been not paying attention, my dear Arjuna and all of us here, devotees, wake up now. Sarva Guhya, we are now entering into the absolute core depth of Bhagavad Gita. It does not get deeper than this. This is it. This is it. This is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna is ringing a bell, telling us, Sarva Guhyatamam Bhuyaha. First point. Please pay careful attention, okay? Shrunu me vachanam paramam vachaha. Please listen to my paramam vachaha. Paramam means topmost. Vachaha means words. Krishna is saying, these are my topmost words. Please listen now. The one that follows. And he says, I don't tell this to everyone. Ishto asi me drinham iti. Ishto means you are my loved one. I like you. You are my friend. Tato vakshyami. So I am saying. Te hitam, for your benefit. I'm giving you the secret. Who will tell like this? He is making sure that there is absolutely no confusion in Arjuna's mind and in our minds. Krishna is direct. Would you disagree that Krishna is saying that these are his most important words? Huh? Where is the scope to disagree here? Shrunu me paramam vachaha. How else can you interpret that? And you won't believe, I have seen many YouTube videos, many books, 50 most important verses of Bhagavad Gita, 100 most important verses of Bhagavad Gita, 20 most important verses of Bhagavad Gita. Those who are not following the Vaishnava tradition, which is what Krishna is telling, these verses are skipped. The author is saying, bloody, that this is my most important instruction, and you are just, doing your own little drama there. Is that an authentic representation of Krishna's Bhagavad Gita? No. How can it be? At least this one you have to include because he is saying so. You are welcome to write your own Bhagavad Gita or whatever, call it whichever you want. At least don't call it this Bhagavad Gita. You can write and then you can write whatever nonsense you want. Karl Marx can write about communism and whoever can write about this and that, fine. Whoever wants to believe in your theory, philosophy, that's great, no problem. Don't call it Bhagavad Gita and say top 10, top 20, top 50, top 100 and not include this. That's just cheating. Do you agree? Is there any fault in what I am saying? Please tell me. Please tell me.
I think it's wrong. It's not just cheating because here's Krishna saying that this is the most important thing.
Yeah.
If that's what you're ignoring, then you're ignoring what Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, then you are like your own philosophy, but the label, brand name you are giving. It's like you say Starbucks and you sell some cheap little coffee. Whatever, maybe, Louis Vuitton. Cheaters are always there, na? Brand name लगा दिया और नकली माल बेच रहे हैं, होता है. So beware of, क्या बोलते हैं? Counterfeit. So whenever you see this label X most important verses, first thing your litmus test should be, are these two verses there? The next two. If it is there, okay, one level passed. Chalo, theek hai. Granted. Both need to be there, not just one. Out of 700, unless you say the one most, then you can select one of the two. But even if it is two most, it has to be these two. Okay? Then if you say three most, four most, then fine, maybe you include whatever other verse from Bhagavad Gita. At least these two need to be there. Okay? Is that very clear? So beware of counterfeit. And I have told you a litmus test also. Okay? Because Krishna is saying, and he doesn't say this, this also will come little later. He doesn't tell this. This personal aspect of Krishna is very, very, very confidential. Like, how many of you would give your cell phone number to anybody? Isn't it a very, you'll give it to your friends. Even on the Intel, I work in Intel, the phone directory, people don't list. Many people don't list their personal cell phone. Right? Personal match, my personal list, my family and friends. People want their personal life to be personal, for only for family and friends. So Krishna also is like that. Official, yes, there is an official phone number, desk phone number. That is called Lord Narayana. But Krishna is the personal aspect, not just as a person, different from Paramatma and Bhagavan, but Krishna, specifically Krishna, is the personal of, like, even Narayana. The same Krishna becomes like a, when he sits on the desk, he will only accept desk phone call. You cannot try calling him on cell phone for official matters. So yes, who is it? Official? Sorry, wrong number, he will say. Doesn't take official calls on the private cell phone from strangers. You have to be family friend to call on cell phone. That is Narayan versus Krishna. Do you understand? This is the personal form of Bhagavan, Krishna form. Narayan is the official form. There he goes in his full beautiful form with Mukuta and this and that. Krishna only like a, it is known as Vanamali. Vanamali means the gardeners from the forest pick some forest flowers, make a garland, put it on his head. He's happy with that. That is the personal aspect. When he's playing with his cowherd boys and friends in the forest, he's not having all those opulences. Very simple. He's wearing a Vanamali garland made out of simple forest flowers. Okay, so that is Krishna. Very personal. So this is Sarva Guhyatayam Bhuyaha, Guhyatamam Bhuyaha, Shrinu me Paramam Vachaha, Ishto asi me Dridham iti. Dridha, you are my Dridha Ishta, my best friend or fast friend. That's a better word, fast friend. Tato Vakshyami, so I'm saying this. Te hitam, for your benefit. Now come the most two important verses. Man mana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishyasi satyam te pratijane prayosi me. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vacha vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshyami ma shuchaha. The two absolute most important verses out of all the 700. These are the two ones. So let us unpack them. And it's just full of bhakti. There is absolutely nothing else. This is Shuddha bhakti. What is he saying? Man manaha, or the Sanskrit is mat manaha. In your man, in your heart, who should you keep? Me. Man manaha, always keep me in your heart. Bhava mad bhakta, become my bhakta. Bhava means become. Mad bhakta, my bhakta. Become my bhakta. Keep me in your heart always. Madhyaji, worship me. Yaj means to worship. Madhyaji, mam namaskuru, do my namaskar. Okay, all these things, and the worship also is just saying a small prayer is worship. Doesn't mean you have to have big paraphernalia, big thali of thing, big plate of things to worship. No, very simple. All of these things can be done even in a jail. Do you agree? Mad manaha, can you keep Krishna even if you are in a jail? Bhava mad bhakta, you can be a devotee even in the jail. Vasudeva and Devaki, they were devotees of Narayana. Madhyaji, just do simple worship. Mam namaskuru, can you do namaskar to Krishna? Even if your hands don't work, in your mind you can do namaskar. In your hands you can do namaskar. All acts of bhakti. Mam evaishyasi, you will come to me. Evaishyasi means to come to me. Mam, you will attain me. Satyam te, he is saying, I am telling the truth. Bhagwan is saying, why does he have to say? But he is just like telling, dude, I'm telling the truth. Don't doubt me. Pratijane prayosi me. I promise you this. Again, he's saying, I'm telling the truth. I promise you this, that you will come to me. The four things mentioned earlier, mad manaha, bhavamad bhakto, mad yaji, and mam namaskuru, you do. What I will do, mam evaishyasi, you will attain me. I will open the doors. And I am telling you the truth. Satyam te, pratijane prayosi me. Because you are dear to me, I will do it. Again, he is saying, only for the dear, near and dear ones, I open my personal door. I will accept your calls on my personal cell phone. It's not like, sorry, please call desk phone. No. I will open the doors of my personal dham, known as Golok Dham, not even Vaikuntha Dham. Golok Dham for you. Okay? Next verse. Sarva dharman parityajya. Parityajya. Tyajya means tyag, to give up. Sarva dharman, give up every other dharma. Dharma here means any other shelter that you have, any other belief system that you have. Just believe in these words. Give up all other belief systems. Whatever may be your belief system. I must do the right thing, the wrong thing, this is right, this is wrong, da. No, just being my devotee is your only dharma. Give up all other belief systems, all other shelters. Sarva dharman parityajya. Follow only one dharma. What is that dharma? Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Just take my shelter. That is the only dharma you need to follow. So again, the first line is what you do. The next line is what I do. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami. All of us have big karmic baggage on us. Yes? No? From past lives. Krishna is saying cancelled. All karma cancelled, like presidential pardon. Pardoned. You don't have to go through the court system, all this, that, nothing. I will take care of everything. I will bring you to me. All you have to do is mad manaha, bhavamad bhakto, madhyaji, mam namaskuru, mam ekam sharanam vraja. First, he will cancel all the karma which is necessary to go to the spiritual world. The material body, karma is part of our material body. So he will cancel that, and we will be Mam Vaishyasi. You will come to me. Ma Shuchaha, again he says, don't worry, don't doubt. He's making these points. We could doubt it. Arey, really? Seems too good to be true. Really? Hoega? What if it doesn't happen? I spend my whole life just doing bhajan. मेरा तो बेवकूफ बन गया, पूरा टाइम घंटी हिलाते रह गए. नहीं, Krishna is saying, Satyam te, I am telling you the truth. Ma Shuchaha, don't worry, don't doubt me. How much he can say? What else could he have said? Please, any of you, come up with a stronger statement. I challenge you. Come up with a stronger statement or a stronger assertion. Please try. I do this in every class. Nobody is ever able to tell me anything stronger way. As a child, as a father, if you were to tell your child these things, the content cannot change, okay? The emphasis, what stronger emphasis can be there? Please tell me. I am telling the truth. I promise, 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 promise. Don't doubt. Don't worry. Come. Please tell me. Anybody can come up any stronger emphasis than this? These are the two. And can you see these are full bhakti? Just taking complete shelter of Krishna. Complete shelter of Krishna. This is bhakti. Now this verse, another verse which is in the purport of this 1866, I want to go through. It is a super, super, super important verse, which was not spoken by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, but when Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spoke. What is the meaning of Sharanam, taking shelter? I want to spend time on this. I don't care if it is getting late today. Very, very, very important verse. Taking Sharan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, but as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes and tells what is the meaning of taking shelter. He gives 6 different points of taking shelter. The last line, you can see there's only one verse quoted in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. The last line is Shad Vidha Sharanagati. Do you see that? The 6 vidha means vidhi or process or whatever, steps or 6 ways of Sharanagati, of taking Sharan. What are the 6 ways? Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyati iti vishwaso, goptritve varanam tatha, atmanikshepa karpanye. 6. Shad Vidha Sharanagati. What are these 6? Anukulyasya sankalpaha. That one always does things that please Krishna. Make a sankalpa of doing anukul things. Anukul to Krishna. Okay? First. Pratikulyasya varjanam, which are not pleasing to Krishna, varjanam, give them up. Understood? So doing things which please Krishna and giving up things which don't please him. And then rakshishyati iti vishwaso, having this vishwas that Krishna will do my raksha. That vishwas needs to be there. This is what will get us through when there are problems. It's not like devotees don't face problems, but then the faith could get shaken and you can go from Krishna Sharana to whoever else. Kamsa Sharana, Ravana Sharana. Like Mother Sita. Ravan was threatening to kill her. Hiranyakashyap was threatening to kill Prahlad. Rakshishyati iti vishwaso. That is what keeps the devotee going in his bhakti. that Vishwas, that Krishna will protect. Goptritve varnam tatha. Always having the faith that Krishna is my maintainer. Whatever is happening in my life, Krishna is my maintainer. It is happening. I am getting little or more. It's as per his desire. He wants my best. In an English words, you can say, Krishna's plan for me is better than my plan for me. Okay, that is Goptritve Varanam Tatha. Remember this, I like this very much. I only invented it. I mean, somehow, kind of, when things get tough, it really helps. Krishna's plan for me is better than my plan for me. Atma Nikshepa. Atma Nikshepa means completely surrendering ourselves to Krishna. Karpanye means our humility. Again, we can do a whole class on each word. Or we can do a whole class on this verse. I have very little time. So in 5 minutes, I am just covering quickly. Shad Vidha Sharanagati. Okay. This verse was spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is in Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya Leela, chapter 22, verse 100. Note it down if you want. Karpanye means humility. Realizing that nothing is in my hands. So you can find, obviously, you can think there is a lot of overlap between these definitions. They are somewhat similar. That's fine. Whichever ones out of these 6 appeal to you, make it your own. Start doing Sharan. Even if one of these 6 appeals to you, take that. It is a vidhi, Shad Vidha Sharanagati. These are the 6 vidhis. Like 6 ways of making idli. Any one way you make it, no? At least why you have to be a master of all 6? कोई restaurant थोड़ी चलाना है. अपन को खाना है इडली तो एक ही काफी है ना. Pick up any one, whichever one appeals. Remaining 5 will come automatically. They are related. Yes, they are related. Don't do an academic surgery. What is this versus that and this and that? No. The point is to apply, not to become a PhD in this. Okay? Okay, Bhagavad Gita done. We reached the summit. The summit has been reached. Now, we will wind down. Okay? ठीक है? Now Krishna says, warns Arjun. 69th verse is important. Again, in the same spirit, Guhyatamam. Okay, this is confidential, most confidential. Ishto asi me dridham iti. I am reading from previous verses. I am telling you because you are my close friend. So he says this personal aspect, don't give my personal cell phone number to anybody else. Don't you say to your friend? आपको दे रहा हूं, आगे किसी को मत देना. होता है ना? So that is what Krishna is saying in 67th verse. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana. So na tapaskaya na bhaktaya na or na abhaktaya. Na bhaktaya means na abhaktaya. So one who is not a bhakta, a serious bhakta, tadachana means never, ever. Na cha ashushrushuve vachyam. So na cha shushrushuve vachyam. Never tell these words. Na cha mam abhyasuyati. Never tell these things to somebody who is not my bhakta. That is the point. Which means I'm giving you my private cell phone number. You can give it to my close friends. And you know who are my friends. If somebody doesn't have it by chance, you can give. But don't give it outside the closed circle of bhaktas. Because this knowledge, what knowledge? The guhya tamam. Brahman knowledge, Paramatma also you can tell freely. Go ahead and tell. So that is why, oh, somebody, because then, and just I'm making it funny, but the point is this aspect of Krishna, of Bhagavad Gita, so strongly he's emphasizing Krishna, right? Mam, at least 500 times it has appeared in whole of Bhagavad Gita. Now, if somebody is like, Narayana Bhakta, you go, no. You must stop worshipping Narayan, only Krishna. He will get upset. Never disturb such people. If they are willing, tameva sharanam gacha, to Paramatma, to Narayan, let them, they will make progress. Even if they are attached to Jnana after Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Remember that? 1854? You have forgotten? Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati sama sarva bhute sarveshu bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. After going to Brahman, he will get bhakti. But don't tell this confidential thing because it may disturb their minds. And not only that, they may get an aversion to me. Arey, ye to Krishna hi bolta rehta hai. This Krishna I am never going to do now. People have that thing. When you tell something too much, then they become averse to it. So you are closing their path to come to Krishna, or you are delaying it further. When you see a person is not attuned or he's not amicable to a certain path, no point in forcing it, because then that will push him further away. And plus, it is a very confidential, very sweet aspect of Krishna, which takes a lot of faith, a lot of shraddha in Krishna to appreciate, to understand. It's not easy. So let them first develop faith in Bhagavan, in the personal aspect of Bhagavan, then we can talk about Krishna. But if those who have survived so far, that's why Bhagavan starts Bhagavad Gita with first Jnana Marg, first Nishkama Karma Marg, then Jnana Marg, the Dhyan, then comes to Bhakti. And within Bhakti itself, then comes to my Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti comes in 9th chapter. Ananya means exclusive. Do you remember Ananya word? So many times it has come. Exclusive to Krishna Bhakti. That is, for some people, it can be a, what, is he a narcissist or something? That feeling can come. Is Krishna a narcissist? Because that's what we see in the material world. Okay? So that is why Krishna is saying, don't tell this confidential aspect to anybody and everybody. Other things you can tell. All right? Next verse itself, then Krishna says, 68. Ya idam paramam guhyam mad bhakteshva abhidasyati bhaktim mayi param kritva mam evashyati asamshayaha. So this paramam guhyam, now we should understand this paramam guhyam to mean everything in the Bhagavad Gita except the guhya tamam. Even though the word paramam guhyam is coming here, it is all the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita minus the, but actually here it is saying mad bhakteshu abhidasyati. So it includes that, to my bhakta who explains this. So actually I take it back what I said. This Paramam Guhya, this topmost, including the personal form, one who explains it to my devotees. Mad bhakteshu abhidhasyati. So what is Krishna saying? Bhakti mai param kritva. He is doing the topmost bhakti. So one who is explaining Bhagavad Gita to other devotees, he is my topmost, he is doing the topmost act of bhakti. So you can see now, Krishna is saying, giving one very clear thing. He gave many things. Man manaha, bhavamad bhakta, madhyaji, mam namaskuru, mam ekam sharanam vraja. And then, ya idam paramam guhyam mad bhakteshu abhidhasyati. Abhidhasyati means one who explains. So there can be bhaktas who don't know this gyan, but they are just bhakta out of love. Maybe from past life. Or whatever may be the reason. The only way of becoming a Shuddha Bhakta of Bhagavan is not through Bhagavad Gita. So, to such a Bhakta, one who explains Bhagavad Gita to such devotees is very, very dear to me. He is saying, Bhakti Mai Param Kritva. He is doing the topmost bhakti. So, sharing Bhagavad Gita with others is an act of bhakti. It is kirtan. It's not musical kirtan, but it is still kirtan. Krishna is saying right here. And he will come to me, Mam evaishyati asamshayaha. So everybody in the right mood who is sharing Bhagavad Gita with others is doing an act of bhakti. So this is a call to all of you to share Bhagavad Gita with others in whatever way you can. Whatever way you can. If you cannot sit on a chair and teach Bhagavad Gita, you give the book Bhagavad Gita. Hey, here is the book. That is sharing. You can give a card, little card with a link to vedabase.com in the modern technology, Tell them, okay, there are these classes happening. You can give a pointer, give the book, give a class, whatever, anything and everything to spread Bhagavad Gita. Why? Why? Because Krishna loves it. No other reason. That's the only reason. Not only that's the right reason, that's the only reason. We only do things which pleases Krishna. If Krishna would have said, don't tell this to anyone. I have told you, shut your mouth, just listen and don't tell it to anyone. We would not tell to anyone. But here he's saying, tell to everyone. But from the previous verse, we get that when you are telling to an absolute stranger, first detect his mood. Tell him all the other aspects, minus that core aspect. If you see that he is amicable to receiving it, you give. That is why Krishna has put the bhakti aspects in the middle of later. First, he comes with all those other things. So one who starts reading will not encounter bhakti immediately. Either by that time he will anyway give it up, or if he is prepped up, he will go into bhakti. And then he says, Nacha tasman manushyesu kaschin me priya kritattamaha. That bhavita nacha me tasmadanyah priyataro bhuvihi. That there is no servant in this world more dear to me, nor there will ever be one more dear. He's putting special emphasis on this point. Such a person who shares Bhagavad Gita with others is the most dear to me today and will remain dear to me forever, the most dear. It's not like 100 years later I will come and say, by the way, I'm changing. I said that in the past. Now this is the new criteria for my best devotee. Then later again he will come and say, now this is the new criteria for my best devotee. He is locking his doors behind him. He is saying, never will there be a better devotee than one who shares Bhagavad Gita with others. This is just a very, 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 very direct call. If you have received Bhagavad Gita, you share it with others. It's not a multi-level marketing scheme. Why? Because it is not material. It is spiritual. Yes, it is multi-level marketing. The product is not material. The product is Bhagavad Gita. And the cost is zero. All these class that we are doing, all free. Vedabase.io or .com website doesn't charge you subscription fees. Like whatever, New York Times, they charge fees to access the news. Apple News Plus, half the articles I click on Apple News, oh, you have to buy subscription. Vedabase, to read Bhagavad Gita, no subscription needed. Donations are welcome. That's fine. So do you get the point? How strongly Krishna is emphasizing to spread Bhagavad Gita. And then the next two, 70 and 71, are explaining what is known as the benefit, phalashruti, of Bhagavad Gita. I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So just studying Bhagavad Gita, of course, sharing, then study also. You must share only what you study. A good salesman is the one who uses the product he is selling. Okay. Yeah, they will ask you, then you shouldn't look like a fool. I'm giving you, but I don't know anything about it. That actually reduces your credibility. Then why are you giving it to me? So, who studies? So the studying of Bhagavad Gita is itself an act of bhakti. Right here it is saying, worships me by his intelligence, madhyaji. He's doing madhyaji, means worship. This is known as worship through intelligence. You can do worship with your hands, with your heart, with your intelligence also one can worship. That's not the only way of worship, but it is a very, very valid way of worship. Okay, so study. And even if you don't study, even if you just listen with Shraddha, Shraddhavan, now I'm on 71. Shraddhavan anasuyah, without envy. Shrunyat, to listen, Shrunyat, with Shraddha and without envy. Without envy means I'm going to study it and find all the faults in it. I will go tell people, see, Krishna is telling this, see, Krishna is telling that. With envy, you share Bhagavad Gita or you listen to Bhagavad Gita, trying to find fault in it, trying to misrepresent it to others. Like I said, 50 most important verses minus those ones. All that is like, to achieve a objective. Here are the 50 important verses, and then you handpick the ones for your objective. Because I have a school of dhyana where I do some Ashtanga yoga, some asana or something, then you say 50 most or 10 most, and you pick all from chapter 6. And so, see, Bhagavad Gita is saying these are the 10 most important. Now, having known that, come to my yoga studio to do yogasana. Because Bhagavad Gita is telling that. That is cheating. That is envy. You have your own personal agenda. Isn't that envy? Hidden agenda. So one who listens or who studies it without any such, with really who is trying to understand what Krishna is trying to tell, not with your own hidden agenda, becomes free of all sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Okay. Now Krishna's question. Arjun has asked too many questions. All questions he has asked. Now Krishna asks final question. Very, very important 2 verses. Krishna asks the question, O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? Vaya ekagrena chetasa. एकाग्र बुद्धि से, एकाग्र मन से कहते हैं ना. Have you heard it attentively what I have said? Because if you didn't hear, Arjun is very attentive, okay? It's for us. Chetasa, with an attentive mind, have you heard this? Kachid etad, क्या लिखा है? Shrutam partha. Have you heard this? Tvaya ekagrena chetasa. कच्चित मतलब क्या? क्या तुमने सुना ठीक से? कच्चित अज्ञान सम्मोह, तुम्हारा अज्ञान एंड योर सम्मोह, ऑल योर इल्यूजन. प्रणष्टः ते धनंजया, नष्ट हुआ कि नहीं? Has it been destroyed, all your अज्ञान, all your illusion? Have you heard it with an attentive mind? Because if the answer is yes, then it would be dispelled, all your illusion, all your moha. I don't want to fight, or this, I am kind, compassionate, being a Kshatriya, trying to be Brahmana, ignoring what I want, keeping your interest higher than my interest. All that stuff. Okay, so Krishna is asking a question. Chalo bhai, now give your answer. Time's up. Make a choice. Click the button. What's that? He offers what? What's that guy? Oh, Morpheus. Offering the choice to Neo. Red pill, blue pill. Which one? Dude, time has come. Have you seen Matrix? Yeah. Nice movie. Okay. Then what is Arjun's reply? Last word by Krishna has been spoken. That's the end of Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna uvacha nashto moha. My dear Krishna, nashto moha. My moha has been nashta, is destroyed. No more illusion. Smritir labdha. My memory, which had been temporarily, he was already a bhakta. He was temporarily in illusion. For our benefit, thanks. Thanks to him that he got illusioned, we got Bhagavad Gita. So, smritir labdha, my memory has come back. Tvat prasadan maya achyuta. That by your prasad, how has my memory come back? Tat prasadan. Thank you for telling Bhagavad Gita, basically. That's what he's saying. Thank you for patiently answering all my questions in the middle of the war. It's about bells have been rung. The conch shell has been blown. And still you didn't say, "Arey, dude, you should have asked all these questions before. Now you are here already. Come on, fight. No choice." No, you didn't say that. You patiently answered all my questions, even when the time was not right. It's like when the child starts crying in the middle of the night, the mother patiently, pats him. Not like, "Why are you disturbing me in the night?" That's not the time. So Krishna didn't say that. Mat prasadan or tvat prasadan maya, on me. Then he says, sthito asmi gata sandeha. I am firmly fixed. Gata sandeha. Sandeha means doubts. Gata, chala gaya, gone. All my doubts are gone. And then what does he say? Does he say, Yuddham karishyami? Does he say that? Karishye vachanam tava. Now you only tell me what to do. I will do what you say. I know what you have said, so I know what you are going to say. There is no like surprise or a suspense about what you will say. You have made it very clear, but he is emphasizing the point that now this is the bhakta mentality. He has been converted from kshatriya mentality to bhakta consciousness. From material consciousness, kshatriya consciousness is a material consciousness. out of our own nature, our own swabhav, our conditioning, all those things. That is material. So that big conversion of consciousness has occurred. Karishye vachanam tava. These are the words of a bhakta. That now I will do what you say. You tell me, I have the benefit of having you right here. You tell me what to do, I will do that. Similarly, we should do that. We should do what Krishna wants. Now, we don't have a battle to fight, thank goodness. But he is told, go share Bhagavad Gita with others. You should do that. So please go and share Bhagavad Gita with others. We'll be starting a new batch sometime later. We'll send a message, invite people to the new batch. Your family, your friends, whoever, somebody must have told you about this one. So yes, be part of this multi-level spiritual marketing. Because Krishna is happy by that. Or give them a Bhagavad Gita, give them a pointer, tell them to read. Tell them to look at some YouTube nice bona fide, not those 50, 100, not that Bhagavad Gita. Kya nakli se, but kya counterfeit, beware of Savdhan. So not any such one, but a proper one. There are many proper ones. Okay. So that is the conclusion of Arjun. This is what I will do. All right. Now, Sanjaya. We'll go through this section fast, but there are very important points in this section as well. So 74 to 78, last 5 verses of Bhagavad Gita are Sanjaya's conclusion. So Arjuna has given his conclusion, but luckily, we don't have a battle to fight, correct? Similarly, Sanjaya doesn't have a battle to fight. So our situation is more like who? Arjuna or Sanjaya? Sanjaya. So this one is more applicable to us. Well, let us see what is the effect on Sanjaya upon listening. He has listened to the whole Bhagavad Gita. Now, by the way, Dhritarashtra is also listening. Because Sanjaya is telling to Dhritarashtra. But he is listening with envy. So he doesn't get the benefit. This is one of the Bhakti Shastri questions we ask. Why Dhritarashtra didn't become Bhakta? Not everybody who listens Bhagavad Gita becomes Bhakta if you have a hidden agenda. His agenda was how to find whatever Krishna is saying, how to find a उसमें कहते हैं तोड़ निकालना, how to find a loophole. Because if he heard with a completely like a Krishna conscious with a full open mind, he would have immediately told, dude, stop the war. I am the king. He had the power. It has been shown when the gambling match happened after they had disrobed Draupadi or tried to disrobe Draupadi and all those bad things happened. He finally gave it all back. He had the power. We know from that he had the power to do that. Again, this Shakuni, but he was such a, because he was so scared after that. That whole, imagine your daughter-in-law getting disrobed in an open public. That level even has not come to this Kali Yuga. We have not seen that kind of thing happening. Private mate may be happening, all these bad things, but in public court or what you call assembly of the king, it has not yet happened. Okay. Hitler didn't do that. Putin didn't do. Donald Trump didn't do. Biden didn't do. Indira Gandhi. No, we haven't seen. Can you imagine the level to which it can fall? Things. He was so scared. Vidur came and told him, Dhritarashtra, you are done. He didn't give back all the kingdom out of compassion. He was shivering with fear. Like, what has my son done? And that son, Duryodhan, was just going in a impulsive way, okay, one after the other. No limit. But Dhritarashtra was shivering with fear. And so at least let me give them back. Maybe they will become pacified. Then again, final match was called. So anyway, long story short, then they did that deal. Okay, either then you will go to the forest for 13 years and all that. So, okay, fine. Out of sight, out of mind, they thought, let's get rid of Pandavas in this way. So it shows that Dhritarashtra had the power to turn things completely around. He did it once. He could have done it again. With one word, he could have said, war stopped. You take your 5 villages, Pandavas, we are happy. But he was not listening with that mindset because he had all these great warriors on his side. Bhishma, Drona, primarily these two. Invincible, like literally invincible. Even the Devatas could not defeat them. And he was trying to listen. This Krishna is telling all these things, but maybe it's not right. He's not Bhagavan. He's just some Mayavi person. Even this universal form that he showed, maybe it is like, some vision. I also have big tantric people who can show these things. Maybe he's like that. It's okay. We'll win. We'll win. No problem. Let's move forward. That was the mentality with which he was listening. So he did not become a devotee. On the other hand, Sanjaya was not listening from that mentality. So we need to be like Sanjaya. So let us see what is the situation of Sanjaya. The Sanskrit words are very beautiful, but we don't have time. We can see some Samvadam imam ashrausham adbhutam romaharshanam. He's saying adbhutam, this adbhut samvad I have heard directly between Bhagavan and Arjuna. Romaharshana means my hair are standing. It's like, what am I witnessing? I'm witnessing like, the most important conversation in the whole universe. Sanjay said, number 74, thus I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. Romaharshana. By the mercy of Vyasa, Vyasa prasadat shrutvan. Everybody gets some prasad. So by the prasad of Vyasa, he got this power to hear Bhagavad Gita, which was happening over there. I have heard these most confidential, etad guhyam aham param. I have heard this most confidential talks directly. Yogam Yogeshwarat Krishnat. He is the master of the masters of mystics. Sakshat Kathayatah Swayam. I have heard it directly from the mouth of Krishna, directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. Keshavarjunayoh punyam hrishyami cha muhur muhur. Hrishyami, this is on hearing this conversation. If you're not feeling happy, if you're not just bubbling with, my God, I have heard the most important thing that is ever there to hear, then you need to question your shraddha with which you have heard. This is the most important knowledge. Not the knowledge of what rich dad, poor dad, how to become rich or whatever, so many how-tos are there. This is the one. Rajan, my dear king, Dhritarashtra, samsmritya, number 76. On remembering it and remembering it. So you should remember it again and again and again, even when the book is not there. How do you remember it again and again when the book is not there? When you have memorized it. And you don't need to memorize it like perfectly like a parrot or something. You're not in some Bhagavad Gita competition to get gold medal. Remember means remember the meaning, but remember enough. Know the sequence. And this is where again Bhakti Shastri can help. So consider it. Samvadam ivam adbhutam. This adbhut samvad I have heard. Samsmritya, samsmritya. The more I remember, the more and more hrishyami cha muhur muhur. I'm bubbling with happiness. O King, 77. As I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna. Again, tatcha samsmritya samsmritya rupam ati adbhutam hareh. He has seen this universal form, the Narayan form. Now he knows this Krishna form that he had been seeing. Who is this Hari? He is Swayam Bhagavan. Vismayo me mahan rajan hrishyami cha punah punah. He cannot contain his joy. Can you see? He's like a kid in a candy store. Like, what have I discovered? Oh my God. So Vismayo, I'm like surprised. I'm like, I fell from my chair kind of. Vismayo me mahan rajan, my dear king. Hrishyami cha punah punah. And then comes the final declaration. Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha. Wherever there is Krishna, who is the biggest Yogeshwara, Ishwar of all yogas. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, where there is a big, brilliant archer, Dhanurdhar, like Partha. Tatra Shrir Vijayor Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. That there will be Shri and Vijaya. There will be all opulence and victory. And this is Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama, that this is my firm belief. According to my understanding, Matir Mama. So, one has to have full faith that wherever there is Krishna, victory is assured. This is the line that is the most important. So, you put Krishna on your side, you will absolutely go over all obstacles. That is why Arjun chose Krishna. Arjun was given first choice actually. Between his 9 Akshauhini Senas and Krishna alone, who said, I will not even fight. He said, kya karna hai wo leke? He knew this conclusion. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir. Not for winning. Again, just because he wants, how can I be separated from Krishna? Whether I win or lose, at least I'll have Krishna. Even if I lose, I'll lose with Krishna. वो कहते हैं ना जिएंगे मरेंगे साथ तो गाना है कोई हिंदी में क्या है गाना है जीना मरना साथ समथिंग राइट रेडियो सॉन्ग है ना तो मरेंगे भी तो साथ में मरेंगे देयर इज हैप्पीनेस इन लूजिंग टुगेदर आई वांट कृष्णा ऑन माय साइड दैट वाज हिज मूड दुर्योधन वाज आल्सो हैप्पी अरे चलो अच्छा हुआ गुड ही चोज कृष्णा नाउ आई गेट द आर्मी. So that is the conclusion. Arjun already acted on that conclusion. So that is the conclusion which Sanjaya is reaching now. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Tatra Shrir Vijayor Bhutir. That is the answer. So if you want success in your life, not material success, okay, Krishna is not your order supplier, then you are again trapped. Spiritual success, which is the highest success. Then bring Krishna in your life. So again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Repeat. I have repeated enough. So with that, we end our 6 month, 5 month, how many months it took, I don't know. We took a lot of gaps, but whatever. We end our journey of Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right. Any questions? Yes. So, okay, before we start dropping off, okay, just wanted to Now I will show this slide. These were all the sections I had. Bhakti Shastri I have announced enough. But if you want, consider it carefully. It's not for the faint-hearted, I will say that. But it is highly beneficial. Okay? I won't say it is like commando training, but it is a, at least some good police physical training will be needed. But you will end up a nice, strong person. Strong means in your knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So please consider, we are starting a new book in 2 weeks. So you can join right away if you want. In 2 weeks, starting 2 weeks. There are homeworks, there are tests. If you are interested in details, I don't want to give a 20-minute speech on the details. If you are interested, I can give all details. For those that are interested, they can obtain the prospectus, as they say. And you can consider. Shri Krishna Janmashtami. Very nice time we have completed Bhagavad Gita. Janmashtami is in 1.5 weeks. On September 6th, Wednesday, we will be celebrating with nice, grand pomp and show, with lot of kirtan, bhajan in the ISKCON temple, drama, play, prasadam, like a big birthday party for Krishna. We will celebrate. Please come and be part of it. There is going to be also a lot of opportunity for seva, for volunteer service and all. You can do seva and you can be part of the gang. So that is the announcement. Huh? Yeah, and then we are doing, so Saturdays we are doing this class. We are starting a new book called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's like the next level of details on how to do bhakti. What is bhakti and how to do bhakti. So please be part of that. If you are enrolled in Bhakti Shastri, that's the book also. So it's like, Ek Pant Do Kaj. So, from my side, it's for Bhakti Shastri students as well as whoever wants to attend the classes. So that because that's part of the Bhakti Shastri syllabus. So that is one thing. New book is starting on Saturdays. And on Fridays, we are doing the Bhagavatam series. Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you want, you can be part of that as well. You can let me know and we can send you the announcements for the Bhagavatam series on Friday evening, specific time. And you can engage in the listening, or immersing is a better word, absorption in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's on Zoom, mandatory camera on, not like black box.
Did it already start or is it starting?
No, it has started, but you can join wherever we are. Bhagavatam is a long journey. Okay? It's like a scenic journey. If you are joining after the first 3 stations are over, there are 300 more stations to cover. It's not like you have missed. By the time we are done, I'll be much older. This is once in a lifetime thing. So wherever you are, you can join. Up to you.
How long is the Bhakti Shastri course?
Bhakti Shastri lasts about 2 years. Like half of undergrad. Time commitment wise, so since you asked, let me just quickly share. Time commitment wise, if you don't procrastinate, we think we have spent 20 hours and when we have only hardly spent half an hour in reality. That is called procrastination, because remaining 19.5 hours we kept thinking about it and delaying. Then it becomes a drag, just like anything else, like mowing your lawn also. It's a drag. If you pick up the lawn mower, it gets done in 20 minutes. You keep stressing about it. The stress feels like, oh my God, this lawnmower is the world's most hardest thing to do. So time commitment wise, attending the class. Now this course is offered worldwide in ISKCON through Mayapur Institute. Mayapur is the world headquarters of ISKCON. That is the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mayapur Institute is the arm that focuses on the education aspect of Shastra, Shastric education. So I am one of the approved teachers. There are about, I don't know how many, about 300 worldwide Bhakti Shastri teachers are there. And you have to go through a course to, like, become a certified teacher. Of course, you have to first finish your own Bhakti Shastri and then do a bunch of other certifications. I have gone through that whole process. I'm a certified Bhakti Shastri teacher from Mayapur Institute. So they require, all the requirements are coming from them. So 75% attendance is needed in the classes that we do. I do keep attendance. There are homeworks, very simple, straightforward. Time commitment wise, you have to attend a 2-hour class per week. So that's 2 hours. Plus another 2 hours of doing some homework and test prep. 4 hours per week is needed, including your time in the class. Now, some people are perfectionists. They may think that I need a 50-word answer. Believe me or not, I get long 3-page essays. Okay, fine. They are inspired. They have the time and they have the inclination. They can write. I try to read those quickly and give whatever feedback I can. But I really like short, nice, concise answers. Makes my life easy. And also it forces you to think. Not like Hanumanji, Sanjeevani booty boli thi aur le aaya pura parvat. So that is the mentality. Nothing against Hanumanji, but so if you, yeah, he didn't know. Okay, fine. So I'm not hating on Hanumanji. I love Hanumanji. Okay, Hanumanji. So yeah, true. You can. So anyway, jokes aside. So it also forces you to think what is the most important part to include in the answer. Like I think who was that? Lord Byron, one of the big poets. He said somebody asked a simple question. He wrote a 2-page answer. At the bottom, he said, P.S. Sorry, I didn't have time to write a shorter answer. Mark Twain, okay. Because it takes time to think and shorten and concise, right? Well, that is the exercise. But okay, if you want to submit long, it's fine. Anyway, so 4 hours of technically commitment, you should do well. And the goal is not to make scholars. My goal is not to give marks. Okay, there will be some marking in the tests and all. The goal of Bhakti Shastri is to make devotees.
And what's the goal of
that is just my personal course. That's not Mayapur Institute affiliated or anything. That's just a private, like this Bhagavad Gita class or something. That's like a Bhagavatam discussion.
Understood, but
my goal is myself to go deeper into Bhagavatam. I have read Bhagavatam. I'm doing my second pass, little bit at a deeper level, and at the same time sharing with others. Why not share? Bhagavad Gita is what Krishna has said doesn't just apply to Bhagavad Gita, it applies to Bhagavatam as well. To share Bhagavatams, that's what I'm doing, to enable others to relish Srimad Bhagavatam as we go along.
Yeah, but my question was slightly from a selfish angle, that if the Bhakti Shastri course is going to help students like us learn to be better bhakts, and how to do bhakti better, what will Bhagavatam, what will students like me learn from Bhagavatam?
Same thing, very similar, not much different. But Bhagavatam is little more like it is just a class, listening. So one can get, okay, ek kaan se suna, ek kaan se nikala, 50%, 10% absorption. When you have to prepare for a test, write a homework, we all know, right? I don't know about you. It has happened to me many times. When I didn't study a subject the whole semester, when the test comes, then I open the book. Then I begin to realize, wow, this is actually so interesting. I wish I had studied it throughout the semester. Has it happened to you? You're a very studious student, maybe. But it happens when you open the book and you start studying, because then you have to reproduce it in the test. A whole different level of our effort in understanding emerges. So it is for those kind of people. Bhakti Shastri is not going to be the make or break for your spiritual going to Vaikuntha. Okay, it's not like if you didn't do Bhakti Shastri, reject. Krishna is not, Bhakti Shastri is not mandatory for spiritual growth. Perfectly before Bhakti Shastri existed, there were devotees who were going to the spiritual world. What is going to make or break your bhakti is your Shravanam, your Kirtanam. This is just a way for us, to Srila Prabhupada has established Bhakti Shastri. It's not like somebody later. Srila Prabhupada said there should be such things for those kind of people who feel that if there is a course where I have to learn, actually this whole impetus for me to undergo the certification. I had done Bhakti Shastri before. One of the students from this class said, Prabhuji, can we kind of, I read the Bhagavad Gita through the class. I've forgotten what was discussed in the 3rd chapter. If you ask me today, tell me 3 important points from 7th chapter, I won't be able to tell. Oh, yes, I can tell Krishna is great, do bhakti, blah, blah, blah. But that I can say for, 8 other chapters. Exclusively from this chapter, what are the some of... Can you please take us through a little course where I have to do homework, some like that kind of school mentality? I knew Bhakti Shastri exists. So I told him, but he said, no, I want to do from you. Then I thought, okay, let me find out what it takes to become a Bhakti Shastri teacher. I found out, then I went through a process. It took me about 1 year. Then he joined the course and he is still part of the course. He'll be finishing soon. That's how it started. So it's for those kind of people. So it may not be for everyone. But I am looking for serious students. I am not looking for people who I have to then drag along. Okay, so if you are not serious, consider it properly. Don't be a drag on me. There have been such students, some. I want to enjoy the process, not repent. Okay, that's on Bhakti Shastri. Was there any other question anybody had? So I was explaining about Bhakti Shastri. So yeah, there'll be about 4 hours of commitment per week is what is required. If you do that in a focused way, no more commitment is needed. And yes, you have to do japa. Again, the goal is to make devotees. You can, sometime by the middle of the course, you should be doing 2 hours of japa every day. Now that is a requirement that many people fall back on. It is hard. But hey, the purpose is that to go back to Krishna in this life, not after 10 more lives. So insight in mind. So at a duty level, do it, then love will come. If you're not up for it, that's fine. Some other time. And following 4 principles. No meat eating. And you have to self-attest. I'm not going to sit and look over your shoulder all the time. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, wine, whiskey, brandy, vodka, cigarette, and no illicit connections outside marriage. So you need to attest that I am following these principles. Again, the goal is to make devotees, not scholars. You will get a certificate from Mayapur Institute worldwide, but that certificate is materially, it has no value. You can feel happy. Yes, one day if you decide to take Diksha and become more serious, get connected to the Sampradaya, many of the Diksha gurus require that you should have done Bhakti Shastri.
What are those 4 rules again?
No meat eating, no gambling, unless you are going to Las Vegas and casino and slot machine, then you're meeting that. No intoxication, alcohol and tobacco, and no illicit connections. For some people, it's straightforward. They have never done it in their life. And for some people, it's very hard to give up because they have been doing that all along. So,
And eggs fall in the first category.
Eggs do fall in the first category, yes. This is not coming from Srila Prabhupada even. This is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me show you. These are the characteristics of Kali Yuga.
Arjun, did he eat?
No. This is again a big myth. No, he did not. There is no documented evidence in Mahabharata that he did. So this is long discussion, okay, how it comes, but it is right in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, verse number 38. Oh. How am I supposed to share? So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, verse 38. Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, again, long story, this is part of a conversation, gave Kali means all the, Kali is Kali Yuga personified, the personality of Kali, which means all the Kali Yuga is the bad Yuga. It's not Satyuga, it's Kali Yuga. So he gave him permission to reside in places where Dyutam Panam Striyah Suna. द्यूतम, द्यूत मीन्स कहते हैं ना, क्या हुआ था महाभारत में, द्यूत का मैच हुआ था ना, द्यूत मीन्स गैम्बलिंग मैच. सो गैम्बलिंग, ड्रिंकिंग, पानम, स्त्रियम, prostitution, and suna, animal slaughter were performed. So wherever any of these four activities happen, it means that Kali is strong in that place, and we want to. Bhakti is all about getting away from the effects, bad effects of Kali. Okay, so this is directly from Srimad Bhagavatam, these four principles. It's not anybody's self-manufactured. Okay. Anything else? So please remember Sri Krishna Janmashtami, Bhagavatam series on Fridays. If you are interested, you can join. Camera on, looking for serious students. Bhakti Shastri classes also, the ones who join now, camera on is a requirement. I want the people sitting in front of the camera. Okay? No turn off camera and, answering your emails on one side and then some radio is going on and Prabhuji is talking on radio. No, sorry. I demand seriousness. It is free of cost. I am putting in effort. I demand seriousness. I want serious students. You will get the benefit, is my promise. Yeah, Saturday ones. So far we are doing in person. We will see. Hybrid.
Saturday one is
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So you will, if you join Bhakti Shastri, that's what you will join with. And then after that, again, Bhagavad Gita will come. But these Bhagavad Gita classes that you have attended, count for that. You can attend again. But these count for that also. And plus you have to do the homeworks and tests, obviously.
if you want, can you just do the Bhakti Rasa?
No. You have to do 4 books. Bhagavad Gita is the largest one. It is 50% of the Bhakti Shastri course is Bhagavad Gita. Then there are 3 small books. Nectar of Instruction, which is known as Upadeshamrit. We just finished the series on that. We'll do it again. It's like a cycle of 4 books. So we will start, for those who join now, we'll start on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's a small book. It's a big book, but the course requirement, the prospectus or syllabus is only the 1/4 of the book. Okay, so the book is little thick, but the syllabus is only 1/4. Right here. This is the English version of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu called Nectar of Devotion. It is that thick, but we do 1/4 of it. I don't know, this much, whatever. 1/4 of it.
So you do 1/4 of it and stop there if you don't continue.
For Bhakti Shastri, we will not continue forward. Those are much deeper topics. That's the reason. Those topics are way deeper, way sweeter, but way deeper. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu goes right deep into it. Anyway, not the time to discuss all those. So 1/4 of this book, whole of Bhagavad Gita, and 2 other small books, Ishopanishad and Nectar of Instruction.
But a requirement is that somewhere around halfway into the course, and then going forward, the person does 2 hours of japa daily.
Yes. 16 japamalas, whether you do it in 1.5 hour or 2, you minimum 1.5. Somebody said I do 16 rounds in 16 minutes. I'm like, sorry. How big is your japamala? Can you show me? Not done one. Not that way.
That's a serious commitment.
It's a very serious commitment. Very serious commitment. Yes, so there's a theory portion and there's a lab portion.
Is there a requirement to do japas only in the morning or
any time in the 24-hour, whatever in the day. When you wake up till you sleep. Now, don't kill yourself. Don't lose your sleep. Please. It is about reorganizing the life around Krishna. You cannot do that. I'm going to be very blunt. You cannot do that somehow thinking that I will maintain my current lifestyle and do this. Please, please, please remember the 3 stone carriers. Did I mention that story? I think I have mentioned it in this class.
If you did, I don't remember, sorry.
It's on the Gita PDX website. You go there, listen to that. It's a 10-minute story. It's an allegory. 3 stone carriers. Anyway, there are 3 stone carriers. All they are doing in their life is cutting stones and carrying them. What a, donkey's job to earn 2 pieces of bread. That's the point. Then on the other side of the river, there are devotees who are happily, doing bhakti. And they are also maintaining their life somehow. Because Krishna rakshishyati iti vishwaso. Krishna is maintaining them. They see these 3 stone carriers. I'm telling you the story in brief. And they say, come, cross the river and join us. The first stone carrier says, I'm not even interested. Get lost, you guys. You are good for nothing. I'm doing such an important job. I'm carrying stones. Can't you see? I'm doing the world's most important job. What are you guys doing? Get lost. I'm happy carrying stones. He leaves. Now, the second one is our situation. Because you are all in the Bhagavad Gita class, you don't qualify as number 1 category. The invitation to join Bhagavad Gita class was sent to many. Many said, I'm not interested. Thank you. They are in the first category, maybe. You're following the connection, right? You're all smart people. Second one, he says, I don't want to give up my stones. They are so precious. It's our attachment to our stones. But I want to go that side also and join the devotees. They are having such a nice time. So he says, I found a way. I'll carry the stones on my head and cross the river. I'll keep my stones and I will try to get Krishna. And then he goes into the river and then he slips and gets washed away. Na idhar ka, na udhar ka. That is our situation. The third guy, he says, these stones, what am I doing? He drops the stones right there, jumps into the river and easily crosses and joins the devotees. So we must give up our attachments to useless things. Now, it's not about giving up attachment to important things of livelihood, but we have to give up our attachments to useless things. So we have to find the time. We have to manufacture the time, and that is in fact the requirement of the course. The course forces a lifestyle change. If this is not the right time for you, I totally understand. No problem. Some other time. Cannot be the second category. Then you can just attend the class. That's fine.
The Friday class.
Saturday class, Friday class.
So we know what's there.
Yeah, you don't have to. This degree is not going to get you a job. It's not. It's just a piece of paper.
That's where
It's a serious commitment. I mean, there'll be spiritual benefit. You'll. I mean, these days I'm. Oh, anyway, I'm not going to talk about myself.
That's where I got confused on Saturday class. So can we just do the class?
Yes.
Okay.
The Saturday class is a combination of Bhakti Shastri students and non-Bhakti Shastri students. Both are welcome to attend the classes. It's like a university class. The students who are enrolled in this course, who have to get a grade, they get, the homework sheets, they get to submit their homeworks, plus auditors. Have you heard this notion called audit? Students can come and just sit in the lecture. They are not obligated to do homework or anything. They can just sit and listen to the lecture. Okay. The teacher doesn't have to conduct two classes, one for this group, one for that. So like that, I am doing a class. You can just come and listen. But if you want to go through the rigor of the course level work, you are welcome. But there are requirements. You have to, like in the university, you have to part with your money. In this case, you have to part with your attachments. Or in different way, if I can say, you have to part with your time. And time you have to manufacture. It is a serious commitment. It is about reorganizing the life. And Friday classes are just Friday classes. No course, no nothing. That's just immersion into Srimad Bhagavatam. We will see how long it goes. Okay.
I think he answered.
All right. We will close the Zoom call now. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. All of you be happy, be nice devotees, and hopefully we will see you again sometime. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.